Did you know the angel of death isn't mentioned in the Bible? There are many mysteries and misconceptions surrounding this enigmatic figure. This is the truth about the angel of death. When we think of angels, names like Michael, the mighty warrior, or Gabriel, the divine messenger, often comes to mind. But there's another angel that's less talked about: Azrael, the angel of death. This mysterious figure appears in various religious traditions, each painting a different picture of his role. In Christianity, you won't find a specific mention of an angel of death in the Bible. Instead, Scripture emphasizes that God alone decides our life and death. Ecclesiastes 3:2 tells us there is a time to be born and a time to die, showing that God controls our lifespan. Similarly, Psalm 139:16 says, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." This reinforces the idea that it's God, not an angel, who determines the time of our passing. While the Bible doesn't name an angel of death, other religions do. In Islam, Azrael is one of the 4 archangels responsible for taking souls to Allah. According to Islamic tradition, Azrael acts on Allah's command, knowing whose soul to take and when. The Quran in Surah 32:11 mentions, "The angel of death, who has been entrusted with you, will take you, then to your Lord you will be returned." In Jewish folklore, the angel of death, sometimes linked with Azrael or Samael, plays various roles. For example, in the story of the final plague in Egypt, an angel is said to strike down the firstborns. Although the Bible doesn't explicitly call this entity the angel of death, this interpretation is common in Jewish tradition. The idea of giving death a face and personality goes way back. In ancient Canaanite religion, death was personified by a god named Mot. He was in constant battle with Baal, the storm god. This myth mirrored the seasonal cycles. Baal brought life-giving rain, while Mot represented deadly droughts. As religions evolved, these personifications changed. In Christianity, there isn't an angel explicitly in charge of death, but there are stories of destructive angels carrying out God's judgment. For example, in the story of King David, an angel with a drawn sword appears to strike down the people of Jerusalem, 1 Chronicles 21:15-16. These angels were seen as executing God's will rather than acting independently. Now, the idea of an angel of death has been shaped by a lot of folklore and cultural stories. In many Western cultures, this figure is often depicted as the Grim Reaper, a skeletal figure with a scythe and hooded cloak. This image comes from more medieval European art and literature than from biblical or theological sources. In Jewish rabbinic literature, the angel of death is described in more complex and varied ways. He is said to have 12 wings and be covered with eyes, reminiscent of the multi-eyed, multi-winged seraphim in the book of Ezekiel. In some stories, the angel of death can change his form to trick or capture souls, adding to his mysterious and fearsome nature. In Islamic tradition, Azrael plays a crucial role. He's not just the angel of death. He's deeply involved in the process of taking souls and guiding them to their next destination. According to some beliefs, Allah instructs Azrael to sever a leaf from a tree under the heavenly throne 40 days before a person's death. This leaf bears the name of the individual whose soul Azrael will claim. This shows that Azrael operates strictly under divine command, reinforcing the idea that only God has the ultimate authority over life and death. The Quran also hints that Azrael might have a team of angels helping him with his duties. This suggests a structured divine system where Azrael is the chief, but not the only angel involved in the process of death. Azrael's appearance and role vary across different stories. In some traditions, he is described as having 4 faces, 1,000 wings, and a body covered in eyes and tongues, representing all the people alive. This imagery highlights his omnipresence and ability to see all human souls. Sometimes he's depicted wearing a creamy white robe, symbolizing purity and his allegiance to God. In other interpretations, he's dressed in black, reflecting the solemn nature of his duties. In other tales, Azrael is shown holding a large book or scroll containing the names and fates of every human being. This book is constantly updated, with the newly born being added and the dead being erased, symbolizing the continuous cycle of life and death. From a Christian viewpoint, it's essential to understand that God is the ultimate authority over life and death. The idea of an angel of death like Azrael is fascinating, but not supported by Scripture. Instead, the Bible highlights God's control over our lifespan. For example, Job 14:5 states, "A person's days are determined. You have decreed the number of his months and have set limits he cannot exceed." This shows the belief that only God knows the time of our passing. Moreover, the New Testament reinforces this idea. Hebrews 2:14-15 explains that through his death, Jesus destroyed the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and delivers all those who, through fear of death, were subject to lifelong slavery. This passage shows that Jesus' victory over death means believers don't need to fear it, as it has already been conquered. While the Bible doesn't mention an angel of death, it talks about the important roles angels play in believers' lives. Angels are often seen as messengers and protectors. Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." These angels carry out God's will and offer protection to his followers. When it comes to death, many believe that God's angels comfort and escort the souls of the righteous to heaven. This aligns with the comforting nature of angels described in Scripture, providing reassurance to those facing their final moments. In Jewish texts, the angel of death is portrayed in various ways, sometimes fearsome and other times even humorous. Rabbinic literature includes tales where the angel of death is tricked or delayed by righteous individuals. For example, Rabbi Joshua ben Levi once tricked the angel of death, asking to see his place in paradise and then jumping over the wall into it. This story reflects the complex relationship humans have with death, a mix of fear, reverence, and hope. In Christianity, the concept of an angel of death was transformed with Jesus' coming. The New Testament emphasizes that Christ's death and resurrection defeated the power of death. This shift means that while angels might help escort our souls or act as messengers, the ultimate power over death lies with Jesus Christ. This is beautifully captured in 1 Corinthians 15:55, which says, "Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting?" And if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to click on the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Now, these stories in Scripture show that while the idea of an angel of death like Azrael is intriguing, Christians believe in God's sovereignty over life and death. This perspective provides comfort and reassurance, knowing that our lives and our afterlife are in God's hands. So in wrapping up, while Azrael, the angel of death, pops up in many religious stories, the Bible doesn't actually mention an angel who controls death. Instead, it shows God's ultimate control over life and death. As Christians, we can find comfort in knowing that our lives are in God's hands, and through Jesus, the power of death has already been conquered. That's all for the angel of death. Make sure to click on the next video for more mysteries of Christianity.